pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Let the record show that all members of the City Council are present this evening with the exception of Councilman Kerr. There is a copy of the Open Meetings Act posted in the meeting room and is accessible to members of the public at any time during the course of this meeting. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests. First item is item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of regular meeting on September 4th, 2018 that is on file in the City Clerk's office. Item E, approval of minutes of work session meeting on August 27th, 2018 as on file in the City Clerk's office. Item F, approval of Treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $906,346.26. Item G, approval of Boswell report of claims in the amount of $430,125.95. Item H, approval of write-off of ambulance bad debts. Item I, approval of pay request number 1 in the amount of $4,307.30 to Lottman Carpenter Construction for the Standing Bear Trail Phase 2 2018 project. Item J, approval of change order number 1, an increase in the amount of $4,324.06, and a final pay request in the amount of $41,356.42 to Lottman Carpenter Construction for the Hannibal Park Ballfield Trail NGNPC project, NPS 31-01039. Item K, approval of change order number 1, an increase in the amount of $13,298, and final pay request in the amount of $19,865.25 to Philip Garkowski for the WPC bar screen replacement as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item L, approval of special designated license for Main Street Beatrice for the Nebraska Governor's Pheasant Hunt fundraiser on November 2nd, 2018 from 4:30 p.m. until 12 a.m. at 620 Court Street, Beatrice, Nebraska. Item M, approval of special designated license application of Main Street Beatrice for a Meet and Mingle networking event on November 20th, 2018 from 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at 412 Ella Street, Beatrice, Nebraska. Item N, approval of special designated license for Main Street Beatrice for the Magic of Main Street fundraiser on November 9th, 2018 from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. at the Beatrice City Auditorium, 205 North 4th Street, Beatrice, Nebraska. Item O, resolution number 6268, granting permission to Main Street Beatrice to serve alcoholic beverages and hold a silent auction in the City Auditorium on Friday, November 9th, 2018, from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Item P, resolution number 6269, executing final acceptance of project construction for the Second Street, Court Street to Ella Street, NDOR project number ENH 61056, control number 13127, signifying the city's final acceptance of the project construction. Item Q, resolution number 6270, executing the letter agreeing to terms of engagement for for continuing the attorney-client relationship with Victor E. Colvolt III. Item R, resolution number 6271, appointing Kimba Steerwalt to the Community Redevelopment Authority. Item S, resolution number 6272, granting permission to Julie Fisher, doing business as Julie's Hot Dogs, to sell goods upon city property. Item T, resolution number 6273, approving the request from the Beatrice Area Chamber of Commerce and Gage County Tourism to close Highway 136, which is also known as Court Street, from 4th Street to 6th Street, and 5th Street from Perkins Street to High Street on December 1st, 2018, between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. for the Holiday Lighted Parade, and granting permission to use Charles Park for staging of pictures with Santa in a tent and for patrons to purchase pictures from Santa. And item U, resolution number 6274, granting permission to the Beatrice Area Chamber of Commerce and Gage County Tourism and their designees to sell and offer for sale or peddle goods, wares, or merchandise in Charles Park as part of the Holiday Lighted Parade event. Any member from the council want anything removed from the consent agenda? Ted?
I have two, item J and item Q. J is in John, Q is in clean.
Mr. Party?
N and O.
Mr. Claybaugh?
I will abstain on item L, please.
So noted. Anyone from the public want anything removed from the consent agenda? Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I would move that all the items listed on the consent agenda, with the exception of items M, J, O, and Q, be approved, accepted, and are ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Morgan, that the items under the consent agenda be approved with the exceptions of items J, N, O, and Q. Your vote, please. That is approved 7-0. Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I move the approval of change order number 1, increasing the amount of $4,324.06, and final pay request in the amount of $41,356.42 to Lottman Carpenter Construction for the Hannibal Park Ballfield Trail NG and PC project number NPS 31-01039 be approved, accepted, and are ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Cook, that we further discuss the pay increase for Lottman Carpenter for the construction of the Hannibal Park Ballfield Trail. Ted?
I don't have a problem with it. I'm not voting against it. I pulled it off because I was contacted by somebody. And I couldn't explain it to them well. Tobias had shared with us at the last meeting that, it just kind of ends here. And they're at the ballpark, and I wanted, for the people that have gone there and seen it and kind of scratched their head about it, that's why I pulled it off. I thought at the time that we're paying for it, you could probably explain it better than I could exactly why it just ends there.
Sure. So anybody who's been out to Hannibal Park, we built the trail. Basically goes from the road that goes from the entrance, goes back to the playground we installed, and then continues south and does just kind of stops in the middle of a grassy park area for right now. The reason being is the trail that goes from Hannibal Park to the water park is supposed to come back through and connect into that trail. So this project stopped at that point. The next trail project is supposed to come through and connect up. When exactly that happens is yet to be determined. What we'll probably see is us come out in the springtime and lay a chat rock trail that goes from where the concrete ends back to the other sidewalk where all the patrons walk on between fields 1, 2, and 3 and up to 4 and 5. You'll see us add that in the springtime before ball season starts.
Yep, you did a much better job than I did. Thank you.
Any other questions regarding that project? Anyone from the public? All right, gentlemen, your vote, please. And that is approved 7-0. Next is item N.
Mayor, I would move the approval of special designated license application to Main Street Beatrice for a Meet and Mingle networking event on November 20th, 2018 from 4:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. at 412 Ella Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, be accepted, approved, or ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Billsbach, that the special designated license for Main Street Beatrice for their meet and mingle be further discussed.
I think we were talking about N, not M.
In?
N.
Oh, I heard.
Oh, N. N.
He said N is in Nora.
N. He read M.
Okay, you want N.
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 Okay.
I thought you were on N, beg your pardon. Go ahead.
Mayor, I would move the approval of special designated license for Main Street Beatrice for the Magic of Main Street fundraiser on November 9th, 2018 from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. at the Beatrice City Auditorium, 205 North 4th Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, be approved, accepted, or ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Billsbach that we further discuss the meet and mingle proposal before us from Main Street Beatrice. Dwight?
I once again pulled this off because I don't think we need to have alcohol served in our city buildings and stuff. There was mention a couple meetings ago about maybe talking about insurance. Was anything mentioned to any of these groups or the one group?
No, because it's still at this time, we don't have any requirements that requires them name us as additional insured.
I still think it's unnecessary to serve alcohol, take extra risk involved with that in city property. That's it.
Anybody else on the council? From the audience? All right, gentlemen, your vote, please. And that is approved 6-1 with Councilman Hardy voting no. Next item is item O.
Mayor, I'd move that resolution number 6268, granting permission to Main Street Beatrice to serve alcohol beverages and hold a silent auction in the city auditorium on Friday, November 9th, 2018, from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. be accepted, approved, or ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Party. That we further discuss resolution number 6268. Mr. Party?
Once again, same comments on that for city property.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? All right, your vote, please. That is approved 6-1 with Councilman Party voting no. Next is item Q, resolution number 6270. Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I would move the resolution number 6270, executing the letter agreement in terms of engagement for continuing the attorney-client relationship with Victor E. Cobalt III, be accepted, approved, ratified as presented.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Fairbanks, that we further discuss resolution number 6270.
Tobias, can you explain this?
Sure. So Vic Cobalt's been our attorney on the gas plant down at First and Market Street for a decade now. When we hired Vic, he was originally with a law firm. He went of counsel with that law firm, and so he kind of had a continuing arrangement with that law firm. He's decided no longer to be of counsel with that law firm, but to start his own private practice. As such, basically he has a form that we need to sign that agrees for that law firm to transfer our files over to him.
And we're transferring files to him just in case. I mean, I thought this was done.
The state lawsuits have been finalized. We still have the ongoing cleanup action with DEQ that has not been finalized yet. And so there is still some of that work that's necessary.
I was under the assumption that when we got the final payment and we made our final payment, we were done.
No.
Okay.
I wish, but not quite yet.
All right.
Close, but
No, I understand it now. Thank you.
any other comments or suggestions from the audience? And your vote, please. That is approved 7-0. Resolution number 6270 has been approved.
Mayor?
Is there something else, sir?
Well,
Are we okay on M?
yeah, that was my question.
I think we only had N was the only one that I saw that needed to get pulled off.
He said N and O.
Oh, he did?
But did our motion say M?
No,
He
it
made,
says-
He changed his.
Okay, all right,
I
So
was kind of daydreaming.
we should be good to go.
gotcha.
All right. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. All right, next we have with us the architects who have been working with the city regarding the proposal for a fire station for the city of Beatrice. And JEO are the consultants. Corey and Marvin are with us today and going to give a presentation and show you what the schematics look like.
I whined at him 3 times. I'm hot.
I'm getting it.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, Phil. Slow him down, Pete. Yeah, there you go. 2 hours of cooking. Yeah.
Okay, it's on my phone.
It's for the visually impaired. Wouldn't need to wear my glasses, but I know it was gonna be that side.
I still need it.
All right, Corey Broderson and Marv Larson with JEO, thank you for allowing us to speak tonight and present the schematic design program information we've developed to date for the proposed new fire station, or the possibility of a new fire station. Before we get into the design too much, so y'all received a few items to review in front of you. It's the same information that's on these presentation boards, and I think is going to also be loaded on the screen here. I want to give a little bit of attention to the process to how we got to where we are today, and then Marv Larson is going to talk a little bit about specifics on the design and walk you through that. So to start with, JEO, as you recall, was hired back in June to assist with what we call programming as well as schematic design for the new fire station design. And that process is the programming is something that we do on all projects. It's basically the meat and the potatoes. It's the recipe for developing the design, because we really can't design anything until we fully understand the needs of the project. And so as part of the original programming, we developed a committee with individuals such as the fire chief, Dakey, deputy chief, Carol. Did I say that right? Okay. Tobias was on the committee, and a number of other individuals, both fire and rescue, assisted us in this programming effort. And one of the first things we did was looked at the existing facility, the 1940 auditorium, which currently houses the fire station, to really examine and understand what the existing conditions are, and give us a good understanding of kind of what the current needs are of the facility. Through this exploration, we identified that the existing fire station spaces within that auditorium space consist of about 24,800 square feet. And of that 24,800 square feet, about a third of that space is dedicated to storage of the apparatus. And there's a lot of concerns and deficiencies as it relates to that space, in particular as it relates to column placements and getting fire apparatus in and out of the space. So one of the exercises we did along the way is we identified each individual space, and the first document that you have that has the highlighted information on it looks like this. Was part of the programming efforts, and so we identified the individual spaces like I mentioned, and then we looked at are those spaces adequate, more than adequate, or less than adequate. And again, we utilize the expertise of the people that actually use the facility to help determine those items. And then as we looked at the inefficiencies and went through this programming effort, we identified that the new facility program was suggesting a space of approximately 30 to 33,000 square feet, which is identified in the column that's highlighted. So you kind of have the existing spaces and all their current. So we went through and measured all the existing spaces within the facility. Also took an inventory of all the equipment that was provided within the apparatus space. So then after we had developed that program, about mid to late July, we started in on what we call schematic design. So now we've actually have enough information for us to then provide some design assistance. And so Marv's here today. He's going to walk through some of the design, talk about the different spaces, and then we'll have an opportunity to answer any questions. But we're at a point now where we'd like to, or I think we can take it to the public then to share some of this design information, because obviously I think what we're looking at is the possibility of a sales tax vote. So I'll turn it over to Marvin. He'll kind of talk and walk through the plan design.
What I'd like to talk about and take you through a little bit of a walkthrough of the proposed plan. So it would be this plan that we're looking at. You have that in front of you. I don't know if it'll be up on the screens, but as Corey mentioned, we're taking a program of this kind of written document and trying to translate that into a graphic representation of the needs for the proposed fire station. And so the plan here, as we walk through it, starting down in the corner is kind of a main entry point to the facility. We come into a lobby area, which really becomes kind of public space. It still can be controlled, but it becomes kind of a public space with, as you would turn to your left, there's an administration area. As you would turn to your right, there's a classroom. And so those are spaces that the community could utilize, could engage with the fire department at those points of entry. As we go from that administration area, you can see kind of a blue cluster of offices. That would be the main administrative area for the fire department. So as we come through a secure door, we'd have deputy chief, the chief's office, the captain's office, kind of in a central location. Adjacent to that is a conference room, and then adjacent to that is an open office area. And this space is going to be utilized by the department staff for filing reports and their daily work activities. Adjacent to that, we have some restrooms for staff. As we continue on through that space, we have our kitchen and dining area, and off of that, a day room. So we start moving from that administrative function into more of the living quarters area and support for those living quarters. So we have that dining, kitchen, day room area. We continue down through a corridor, and there's a corridor that allows exit to the top here, and then the corridor that would continue as we would take a right turn, if you will. We get into the living quarters area. The living quarters are designed as private rooms with a shared bathroom for 8 of the units. So we have 8 private rooms, 4 restroom facilities within that living quarters area. And then as we continue on down, we have 2 private rooms. Again, what we're looking at there is the ability to have some flexibility in how those rooms are utilized. If we have male and female firefighters, we have some flexibility to address their needs for housing, for living quarters. As we continue on down through that corridor, we get back into another green area here, which is the exercise room. So that whole top portion, if you will, of the plan is dedicated to those kind of living quarter functions for the firefighters. If we kind of come back down again and come back to the main lobby, I mentioned we have kind of a public space. So we have a classroom down here. Again, that could be, community engagement. It could be some type of classes. It could be used for a number of things. It is a little over 1,100 square feet, so it can accommodate approximately 50 people in that kind of a classroom setting. Adjacent to that, or in support of that, is an AV closet, some storage for that. We also have just below that the Rural Fire Department office and Rural Fire Storage. They also have an entry point down here from the exterior, so they can access their office and storage without having to come back through the main entry point. As we move out of that classroom area, again, we have another corridor that goes from the administrative area to the apparatus bay. Off of that, there's public restrooms again. As we would move through that kind of center core, if you will, we have the EMS storage, and then we have the gear bunkers storage space. That space in the middle is a hardened space, or at least being proposed as a hardened space. And that would be of a different type of construction, probably masonry. Would have a concrete lid on it, so it's a hardened space for storms in conjunction with the bunker gear storage. As we continue to move up, again, we have another corridor that runs from the dining area to the apparatus bay. Off of that, we have a custodial area. We have storage for air packs and that whole function, and then also a shop area that opens up off the apparatus bay. You can see that one of the challenges is trying to develop a plan that has minimizes the travel distance for firefighters from any part of the building to the apparatus. And so within the building, from any point in the building, we're not exceeding a 200-foot travel distance to what's been identified as the engineer 101 location, which is right here in the apparatus bay. So obviously the main portion of the building is the apparatus bay, and that is a 7-bay space of approximately 14,000 square feet. It is the dimensions of that space is roughly 132 by 107 feet. So it still is accommodating double stacking of apparatus. The 2 bays on the end are set up for drive-through so that we do have the ability to bring apparatus all the way through the building. The plan to the far right, if you will, is a mezzanine area, which would be located above the gear storage and kind of the center core area right through here. That mezzanine is set up as the main storage, over 2,000 square feet. We also have the mechanical room and IT space on that second level. This mezzanine level has also been set up so that it can be used as a training level, and there has been discussion about allowing from that mezzanine level to have some hatches that would access down into this bunker gear storage space and could be utilized for training of firefighters. Again, the plan, total square footage is about 33,000 square feet. The footprint is just under 30,000 square feet. So that additional square footage is that mezzanine level. Any questions about the plan at this point?
Any questions, gentlemen?
This
Bob.
was, this was one plan of many iterations that we developed throughout the process. So, with the help of the fire chief, deputy chief, Tobias, and many other fire and rescue staff, we've developed this plan. And part of the process of that is to really hone in then on that square footage, so that ultimately we can identify how much square footage, how it relates to a potential site, and how that would then also relate to a potential cost. So, and Marv will talk a little bit more about that when he talks about the site and some of the costs.
Just a minute, Marv. Bob, did you have a question?
I don't know if it's a question or a comment.
Okay.
When you look at your circulation lobby, entry, walls, and chases, 16% is an awfully efficient building. Is that kind of what, I mean, that's almost incredible.
Well, again, we've tried to stay efficient with the plan, but at the same time trying to provide that access to the apparatus space from all parts of the building. So as Corey mentioned, we went through several iterations of the plan, and a number of comments came back from the chief and deputy chief about those travel distances, and so we really had to come up with an efficient plan to really make that happen. So you're correct. Usually, we're trying to hit in that 80 to 85%. We feel we're doing good. Sometimes we're down in that 75% range, but we do have a large area, with that apparatus bay, which helps us out with that efficiency.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, that gives you more bang for your buck, so.
Exactly.
It does. So the plan then, we took an opportunity to try and develop a 3D image of the building. And so on this board, that's kind of what we're representing here. The materials that are being used, we're looking at this as a quality building, that we would be going with more conventional construction versus a pre-engineered metal building, and primarily for longevity, reduced maintenance, and presenting an image to the community for this building. And so that's what's being represented here, is a building that has mass and scale, utilizing brick masonry and some other masonry elements, along with some ephes materials. So you can see the red colors obviously would be representing brick. The lighter color up above, probably an ephes material, a synthetic stucco. But there's other options too that we could consider as this moves forward. As you look at that image, again, we have kind of that main entry element here, along with the brick wall that would be representative of the rural fire area in that classroom space. The administrative wing kind of wrapping around, and then obviously the 7-bay apparatus component. Up above here, you can see the higher volume. Again, that would represent kind of where that mezzanine element is occurring within the plan. Over here. One of the things that we've also done is within that apparatus bay, we're showing some higher windows to allow natural light into that space. Again, that could be glass, or it could be a translucent type of panel, but again, trying to get some natural light in. Part of the rationale for the plan too was also to introduce natural light into offices, into some of the living quarter spaces, which currently doesn't exist within the current facility. So we have a plan that's about 33,000 square feet, 30,000 square foot footprint, if you will. So as we looked at it from a site standpoint, we tried to do an analysis to see what would be kind of minimum site requirements based on the program that we've developed. And so down in the lower left corner of that same drawing shows a representative site plan on how this building could sit on a site. The site is developed with within a city block, if you will, a site of about 300 by 300. So it's a representative of a typical city block. We are showing it with parking split, one lot being associated with the main entry, and then a second lot, kind of the back door, if you will, looking at that as parking that could be for daily use, and then also parking for long-term use. So when firefighters are there for their shifts, they may be in that long-term lot. We're set up with that, again, mentioned the two drive-through bays. So we have a drive coming here, and then the apron space that would be associated with the 7 bay doors. Access off to the street.
Mike mentioned that this is proposed or looked at as a full city block. However, no specific site has been identified at this point in time. But we do feel that location in terms of the center of town for response times going to be important. You know, if the site, if we can't find a site of this size, then maybe some of this parking, maybe part of this front parking becomes more on-street type parking, to where whatever would work in terms of whatever site we might find. So.
The other two images, again, are just more elevation studies of the proposed building. again, showing the change of materials and kind of that then being represented in the rendering. Again, we're looking at this point, you know, in that 30,000 square foot range for the building, based on the program. By no means is this a final solution for the project, but it's, I think at this point in time, it represents the program and gives us good direction in terms of what kind of site requirements we need for this plan. And we have gone through and put a preliminary budget number to this. We're estimating the project at about, for the building and site development, and an average site at about $7.5 to $8 million.
Questions, gentlemen?
Also invite other, or
Anyone from the public?
here. You guys have anything more to add? We certainly appreciate their time. They helped us get to this design solution. They had a lot of input, a lot of time, and effort was certainly given from them, so we certainly appreciate their efforts.
Gentlemen? Bob, did you have a question?
No.
I thought you were,
Well,
okay.
I just, yeah, I mean,
You're good?
I'm good.
I had one maybe
Sure.
question, comment, whatever, and Chad reminded me of it earlier. I think earlier when we had a meeting I went to, we talked about having a pitched roof versus a flat roof in Nebraska. Will this change any of this by adding that non-flat roof to it?
Well, I think we took a look at some pitched roofs. I think with the size of the building, we get to some pretty high volumes with that type of roof approach. When you look at this and say, yeah, it's a flat roof, it does have pitch on it. It's a low slope roof, but if we were to, for example, the distance, you know, from here to here is over 100 feet. So if you put, say, a 4 and 12 pitch on that, you have to the ridge line, you're going to have 200 inches of rise, which equates to 16 feet.
I just didn't want to have a flat roof. I've seen some of that in Nebraska where you have the freeze-thaw cycle going on so
Yeah.
long that it really tears them up bad. And you
Yeah.
have leaks like you have in the library, which you can't find for 20 years.
I think,
Finding new.
you know, and like I said, this is one approach. We certainly can revisit that, but I think when we started to get to the size of building that we're looking at here, the sloped roofs become, you know, a bit more of an issue in terms of just sheer size and volume. And but again, we did do some studies. We had some pitches that were coming off of this front going up, single slopes and that type of thing. But and again, it gets pretty high.
With
To
this
do
plan
that.
design, we could still look at like a single slope, especially over like a large apparatus space that sheds to the back and it's hidden by the parapets. So there's some things we can still do that allows a greater steeper slope than say flat, going with what Mark's saying is a full pitched roof.
There are some materials we can work with for, you know, to kind of fall in between kind of that higher, or what I would say, more conventional pitch, which might be a 4 and 12 or greater. And then once you get below that, then you start to get limited in terms of the materials that you can use. But we could certainly do,
As long as we keep that in mind, I think that's
Yeah,
important for
yeah.
Nebraska.
do that.
Phil?
Now that we have a building rendering of this is very impressive. I was thinking back, when was the last time Beatrice actually got to build something? The library? So it's been, what, 20, 25 years since we've actually built something
I still call it the new library.
substantial? You know,
92,
so
93.
30 years, so, you know, substantial. This is very impressive. I think the community would be very proud of it. It's not, does not look like a metal Quonset building, so it should make everybody proud to see it.
Mr. Morgan?
The mechanical roof, does that mean the stuff stays off the roof?
That's orange.
Good, okay.
As we lay that out, and we have some flexibility with the size and proportion, you know, maybe the mechanical needs more space and IT is less, but I think one of the things that we were looking at doing in placing that up there is it doesn't add square footage to the footprint, if you will. It gets the mechanical to a central location, so distribution of ductwork is simpler. It also provides us, we always run into problems with mechanical rooms because we have to get outside air. So with that being up here above the roof, then it allows us to get some walls to provide that fresh air, makeup air into that space.
Thanks.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Anyone from the audience?
I have a question for you, Stan. Are we done with this, or are we gonna talk about this as soon as they're done? I have some questions, but they're not for them.
Sure, I mean, that's what this is all about.
Okay.
Sure.
I don't have any questions for them, but I have some questions.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Presentation boards, or we'll leave them here, because as I understand, there's gonna be some open public meetings.
Right. The next step will be to have some open informational meetings for the public, and we'll have as many as we think is necessary or the public demands. And
Sure.
and we want to just get the information out as quickly as possible and as complete as possible.
Perfect. All these images are also available for whatever use you see fit. So,
All right.
all right.
Corey, Marvin, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Ted?
So if I'm following this, the plan going forward now, we have kind of a price within $500,000. So, but with outside acquisition. So is it my understanding that this is gonna be on the ballot with, that'll read something not to exceed $8 million? And then if it passes, then we're going to come back, find a site for it. I know that we've looked at them, but then you'll come back and we'll buy a site at that time to have this built? Or what's the process here? So that's my first question. And the second question is when are we going to talk about this again so you can have actual dollars and cents, so the community and the people that are going to vote for it will understand that when you're voting for this, that you're voting to raise your sales tax for a period probably to X amount of years? And are we going to give them? So that's my second question. And so then the third question is are we going to give the community the information about what our sales tax revenue is presently, what it's been historically, say for the last 5 or 6 years, whether it's on an upward trend or downward trend or leveled? So that's my third question, because you have to be aware of what state legislators doing. I mean, there's a couple of different bills in the legislative tumbler that are that are looking to raise sales tax revenue for property tax relief statewide. And so, I just want when people vote on this to be an informed voter. I mean, I think it's important that we lay all that out, so it's not a surprise. So that's my questions to this point.
Well, I think if you think we're going to get it down to the exact dollar, that's going to be impossible.
No, I'm not saying that. No,
And there's going to be a negotiation process when we go through the real estate, if this is approved. If it's not approved, then it's a moot point.
right.
But I think we have learned from past experiences that you don't buy the land first and then try to get something passed. I think to try to identify a site today really encumbers our ability to negotiate. Okay?
I don't disagree with that, but my question is how you're going to put it on the ballot. You've got this at $7.5 to $8 million without land acquisition. So do you put it on the ballot?
The question, the language is already on the ballot.
Yeah, the language, you approved the language in your meeting earlier this month.
Right.
And it does not have a dollar amount in it. The ballot itself will not have a dollar amount listed in it. Talking to bond counsel, it was not required, and obviously we don't know the exact dollar amount at this point. What will happen is, if this gets approved, the city will issue bonds. That the bond amount is what the amount of, or how long the sales tax will stay in place until those bonds are paid off. Once those bonds are paid off, the sales tax will go away. As we've indicated before, 0.5 cent will raise roughly $1 million per year on the city's current sales tax. We could certainly pull the information for the last several years of sales tax data. Obviously, we have it. We can make that available. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I tried to look on my, from the budget.
It's in the CAFRs, but it's buried in there. We can,
Yeah, and
we can pull it out and make
I
it simpler.
struggled with it. I tried to recover it for the last 3 years, which is I actually still have the paper copies of that, but I struggled trying to pull that out. And I know what I was looking for, so.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we can pull that information out and make it available.
And I think we need to have that information available at these public meetings, too.
I do, too.
Because that question's going to come up.
It already has. It's come, yeah.
I understand.
And I couldn't answer it. So. What I'm saying is I think for this to pass, it has to be specific, and we're asking for people to vote on, the voters to vote on something that's somewhat vague, and that concerns me. So.
Other comments, questions from the public? All right, let's move on, gentlemen. Next item is a public hearing on the application of Stone Hollow Brewing Company LLC, doing business as Stone Hollow Brewing Company, to be located at 301 Court Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, for a new Class L liquor license. With us is the Chief of Police, Bruce Lang, and Building Inspector Rob Morrow. Gentlemen, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Gentlemen?
You had all this time, Bruce.
Well, it's right here in front of me. The police department did the standard liquor license background checks, and nothing that was uncovered during that would preclude us from recommending this for approval.
Rob Merrill, Chief Building Inspector. We did the planning report for the brewery as well, and there is central business district in all directions around it. Everything that it does meet everything for compliance with our zoning ordinance.
Okay. Questions, gentlemen?
I don't really have a question that Bruce could, this is the first time we had a Class L.
Yeah, long time.
I'm not in my tenure.
Yeah, I don't remember one either.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Todd and Sony Heido is with us tonight. They certainly own the property there, and I think they're going to be part owners of the brewery. If you gentlemen, if you folks have anything to relay, that'd be great, just in case somebody has any questions. Come on up, Todd. Sony, you can come along too. All right. Thanks, Chief.
Todd Heido, 900 Oak Street. Yes, I am. We own the building, which be named the Beatrice Mercantile Building. We own that 100%. We are a third share owner of the Stone Hollow Brewing. So we're acting as the face of it right now.
When do you plan on opening, Todd?
We said Thanksgiving, but I don't think that's going to happen. We'd like to be maybe for the holidays, for Christmas, possibly New Year's. The brewing equipment is sitting in Lincoln right now. If you get on our Facebook page, you can see the nice shiny equipment sitting there, the brew house, the fermenters and such coming. So it's getting close. We're just kind of finishing up loose ends with the building renovation right now. So.
Yeah, you didn't tell the guy that he could take his Iowa State t-shirt off and get himself a Nebraska shirt, and you're in the picture. He's standing with Bruce up. It looks good.
Any questions of Todd?
I do have a question though. So you get the equipment open by Christmas or for the holidays. To actually, so Class L is making it, selling it, on and off sale. and brewing it. That's why, you know, we haven't had Class L before. So, obviously you can't make this in a day. The product doesn't turn over in a day. So from the time you get the equipment here, you get it in the building, give us the steps.
Well, like I said, right now we'll get it here. We'll have to get it set up. We have boiler piping,
Right.
chiller piping, wiring, control wiring, ventilation system. So there's a lot of systems that I got to get put in place. So we're probably, hopefully, making beer in November. Some of the brews will be as little as a week to 10 days. Some of the other brews, 3 to 4 weeks. You know, the barrel aged beers might take a year. So it just, you know, I don't know if we have the final number, how many we're going to have tap, at least 8 up to 12. So there's going to be some time where we're waiting for the beer to ferment and taste to make sure it's good, keg it, and get it ready. So there is going to be some slack time in there that we're sitting on our hands waiting for the beer to ferment. So, but yeah, once we get it, we also have a cider license, so we'll be making the ciders also beyond beer. So that's we're the second one in the state to do that. So we'll be number 2.
Very nice. Any other questions from the public? Todd, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your investment in the community. Mr. Canlon, entertain a motion to close public hearing.
Mayor, I would move that the public hearing be closed at 7:51 p.m.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Morgan, that the public hearing be closed at 7:51 p.m. Your vote, please. That is approved. That is approved.
Do I have to abstain on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that is approved. 6 votes in favor and 1 abstention. Councilman Claybaugh.
Mayor, I would move that the new application of Stone Hollow Brewing Company LLC, doing business as Stone Hollow Brewing Company, 301 Court Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, for a new Class L liquor license be recommended to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission for approval.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Billsbach, that the application for Stone Hollow Brewing Company LLC for a Class L liquor license be approved. Any further discussion needed? Seeing none, your vote, please. And that is approved, 6 votes in favor and 1 abstention, and that's Councilman Claybaugh. Next is a public hearing on the application of Stone Hollow Brewing Company LLC, doing business as Stone Hollow Brewing Company, 301 Court Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, for a Class CK liquor license.
Still under oath?
Just a minute, we're waiting for the second guy. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
We do. Yes, I do.
We do.
Police Department again did the standard background check for the Class C liquor license and Class K liquor license. And again, nothing was uncovered that would preclude us from recommending this for approval.
Same thing, did the planning report for the liquor license, and it is in compliance with our zoning ordinance.
Very good. Questions of these gentlemen? Thank you very much. Anyone from the audience? Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I would move that the public hearing be closed at 7:53 p.m.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Morgan, that the public hearing be closed at 7:53 p.m. Your vote, please. 6 votes in favor and 1 abstention. Councilman Claybaugh.
Mayor, I would move that the new application of Stone Hollow Brewing Company LLC, doing business as Stone Hollow Brewing Company, 301 Court Street, Beatrice, Nebraska, for a new Class CK liquor license be recommended to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission for approval.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Cook, that the application of Stone Hollow Brewing Company LLC for a Class CK liquor license be recommended to the Liquor Control Commission. Any further discussion needed? And your vote, please. That is approved, 6 in favor and 1 abstention. Councilman Claybaugh. Next is a public hearing to consider amending Section 1304E of the zoning ordinance of the City of Beatrice, ordinance number 94-13, relating to notice requirements when amending zoning codes or districts.
So our current zoning ordinance there are things by state law that are required that if we rezone a piece of property, how we give notice. And then our own city ordinance had additional requirements above and beyond what the state required. Our city ordinance also required us to give notice via certified mail to anybody owning property within 300 feet of the parcel being rezoned. The issue came as we started looking at rezoning South Beatrice, as we've talked about, basically from Market Street down to Perkins. That was an area that was brought up at one of the few past council meetings. We started looking at the number of properties we would have to give notice to. It became very burdensome. We went back and looked at our notice requirements, and what we propose is that instead of 300 feet, we make it 100 feet, that we give notice to additional property owners. And instead of being certified mail, you make it regular mail. So we still will give notice to adjacent property owners. There'll still be the yellow sign in the yard that says there's something going on. But in the event that you don't drive that way to and from your house or your business, there'll still be a notice sent to you if you live within 100 feet. That 100 feet is measured from property line to property line. So it's not door to door, it's property line to property line. So it does get a little farther out than maybe you think. So that's the proposed change in the zoning ordinance.
Questions? Comments from the audience? Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I would move that the public hearing be closed at 7:56 PM.
Second.
By Catlin, seconded by Billsbach, that the public hearing be closed at 7:56 PM. Your vote, please. And that is approved 7-0. We have no resolutions this evening. To have an ordinance to amend section 1304E of the zoning ordinance of the City of Beatrice, ordinance number 9413, relating to the notice for public hearings.
Mayor, I would move that said ordinance be given number 18-034. The title therefore be approved, the rules be suspended. Said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Cook, that the ordinance be given number 18-034, title thereof approved, rules suspended, ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight. Motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. That is approved 7-0. Ordinance number 18-034 by number the first time, ordinance number 18-034 by number the second time, and ordinance number 18-034 by number the third and final time.
Mayor, I would move that ordinance number 18-034 be passed and approved.
By Catlin, seconded by Billsbach, that ordinance number 18-034 be passed and approved. Any further discussion?
The only thing I would add is planning and zoning did review this and recommended the proposed change.
All right, seeing none, your vote, please. And that is approved 7-0. Ordinance number 18-034 has been passed and adopted. Next item on the agenda is the public forum. Purpose of the public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the City Council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the City Council at this time. Anyone from the council have anything for the public forum? From the audience? All right. Next is our discussions and reports from our city administrator. Tobias?
Once again, some highlights are out there. We talked about Hannibal Park earlier. Playground's been completed. The trail's been put in. The steel for the new indoor practice facility has arrived. It's on site. They're hoping to start erecting that building tomorrow. If things go well. Splash pad, the equipment is due to arrive on September 21st. They're anticipating 3 to 4 weeks to get that structure built and have it ready. Chief Standing Bear Trail, if you have not been down to the area around First or Second and Market, they've started pouring new trail there. They've got the first 2 sections of it poured already. They're still continuing to work further ahead, so they're moving right along on that project. Should be done here within, 30, 45 days or so.
What happened with the little jog over there at Market?
So you it goes kind of straight through the lot there, and then kind of swerves back off and goes to the intersection of, 3rd and Market Street.
Yeah.
The reason being is you always prefer to cross at intersections rather than mid-block. And so
I thought maybe we'd made some agreement with the property owner that I had forgotten and I didn't. Okay.
No, we didn't. That's the reason was if possible, we like to cross at intersections, not at mid-block. So
Okay.
that's why we pushed it there. Now, you're going to ask me when you go down the next block, and we're going to cross 3rd Street in the middle of the block.
Traffic.
Lot less traffic there. Also, you cannot continue south on our right-of-way because of the gas company has some apparatus there. So that's why we have to cross mid-block or cross 3rd Street there. But if you go down there, you'll first see where they're taking a bobcat, scraping off the dirt where the trail's going to go. Once it's kind of done and poured, they come back behind it and start scraping up the rest of the dirt. That gets hauled off. Compost gets brought in. Additional dirt gets brought back in, mixed all up. So you have a base there that will grow plants and trees and flowers and that kind of stuff moving forward. So that project's moving right along. Unfortunately, the Hannibal Park to Water Park Trail is not moving forward, or it is very slowly. We were notified this last week that the Department of Transportation is looking at most likely construction in 2020. That's a 2.25 mile trail. We wrote the grant in September of 2011. It was approved in February of 2012. We will hit 8 years to get that.
To start it.
Yes.
To start it.
Yes. And it's the same as Chief Standing Bear. It's 10 feet wide, it's concrete, but because of federal dollars involved and the hoops that you have to jump through,
But most of the environmental has been completed.
the environmental's been completed.
Land acquisition is to be completed yet.
Yeah, they just gave notice to approval to start land acquisition. Again, that's not something we can do. They have to hire a trained professional to come down and contact everybody. We are not allowed to go make those acquisitions ourselves. So that will take them months to do, and then at some point, they're going to let it, but we're most likely looking at 2020 construction. First and Grant Street, if you've noticed down there, street department's been down doing some more dirt work, getting things continued moving down there. Once they're done, public properties will move in and start planting and doing that kind of stuff, so that's moving forward. And then finally, the wastewater treatment facility, we've talked about the next big project they're looking at is what to do for their dewatering system. We had approved a pilot project. That pilot project is starting this week, and so we have another company in. Right now, we use a belt press. We press the sludge at the end to squeeze the water out of it. We're looking to go to a centrifuge. We'll spin it, get the water out that way. So they have been storing sludge and holding containers down there, waiting for this week so they can test it.
Very nice.
So it is good to know. Those things that you don't want to know but do go on in the city, and that's how we make life. It's just part of life. So, but those things, that's what's going on down there. Hopefully at the end of this week, we'll have a good idea of how that system operated, the chemicals it used, that kind of stuff. How much money would it take to run that system moving forward? And then we can make a recommendation moving forward if that's the project we want to go with, or if there's something different we want to try out. So.
Okay. Any questions of Tobias? All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Our next regular meeting is going to be on October 1st, 2018, in these chambers, and we will have a work session. In that work session, I beg your pardon, there will be a special city council meeting on September 28th. That's a Friday, and we need to approve some final bills. And then there will be a work session on September 24th. So October 1st, City Council, work session the 24th, special City Council on September 28th. Anything else, gentlemen? Mr. Catlin?
Mayor, I would move that the meeting be adjourned at 8:04 p.m.
Moved by Catlin, seconded by Billsbuck. The meeting be adjourned at 8:04 p.m. Your vote, please, and that's approved 7-0.